Today is December 2nd, 2019. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Bob Kane in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Sir, where were you born?
Galveston, Texas.
Galveston, Texas. When's your birthday?
October 24, 1942.
1942. Who is your father?
Richard.
Richard. And your mother?
Mary Muder, M-U-D-E-R.
M-U-D-E-R.
Kane.
Did you go through school in Galveston?
No, I was just there for a while. Dad was in the Army.
Okay.
Mother was down there with him, and I was born when he was in the Army in 1942.
And then you came up to Bartlesville?
Came right back up to Bartlesville.
Okay.
Bartlesville family.
Okay. Where'd you start school?
In at McKinley School.
McKinley School. You graduate college high?
Yes.
What year?
1960.
1960. Who was your favorite teacher?
Oh, I had some good ones. My first one was Mrs. Railsback. She was a first grade teacher, and then I just loved Mrs. Carlton, Esther Carlton, English teacher.
Why were they your favorites?
They just had a first grade teacher. She's the one who helped me learn how to say R's. I used to, as a child, baby, I was wide, little wobbert, and she just said, roll those R's,
Yeah.
and that fixed it.
What type of work did your father do?
Dad was a lawyer.
Lawyer. Okay. What did you do for recreation in high school?
I was a golfer. I played golf on the team. I also enjoyed backyard basketball, driveway basketball, that kind of thing. Never did play basketball or football, but I did play golf.
You climbed Circle Mountain.
I do, every once in a while.
What's up on Circle Mountain? What was up there then?
Well, nothing at all. There's a cap rock on it, which is pretty steep. It may be 20, 25 feet. And there you have to find a break in those rocks to get all the way up on top, from the northeast side anyway.
You climbed the mound?
I did, not on a regular basis,
Okay.
but I did.
Did you go to the Christmas parties Frank Phillips had?
Yes,
Tell me about those.
I remember those. He would bring in a big name entertainer, and the Adams building, I think, Jim was built, finished about 1952, when I was 10, and so I don't remember where the parties before those were, but I remember one time George Goebel, the comedian, was the program, and he made all us kids just laugh. We had a wonderful time, and we got our silver dollar.
How many movie theaters were in Bartlesville at that time?
Well, I think the Lyric and the Rex and the Arrow and the Osage.
Okay. How often did you go to the movies?
Most Saturdays.
Okay.
It was a big deal to come to town, and the some of the movies had serials that they ran on Saturday, and you wouldn't want to miss one of those.
Okay.
And the mother would be glad to be downtown shopping, and she'd drop us at the theater. Yeah.
Who's your favorite actor and actress?
Oh, I liked Roy Rogers. I thought he was great, and of course Gene Autry. Those I like the westerns.
Okay. What did you do after high school?
Went to University of Kansas. Graduated there in '64.
Okay. What did you study?
Economics.
Economics.
Degree in economics.
Okay. You stay on campus or off campus?
I lived in fraternity. Very important to me. I had a good time.
Which fraternity?
Beta Theta Pi.
Okay.
And it was a traditional thing. We have a whole bunch of family members who were members of that chapter.
Yes, okay. So what'd you do after you got your degree?
I went to law school,
Where?
Oklahoma,
Okay.
OU, and graduated there in '67.
Who was head of the law school in those days?
Dean Sneed,
Dean Sneed.
and then Kuntz was there the last year I was there.
Okay. Now, I went to OU, and why do the engineers always paint that owl green?
Just to prove they could.
Yeah. Now, what did you do to the engineers?
I don't think I ever had anything to do with retaliation on that.
Yeah. You go to the Texas OU football games?
We did that regularly.
Okay.
Met my wife down there while I was in law school,
Okay. What's your wife's name?
Gail,
Gail. Okay.
and she's a graduate of Oklahoma also. She's a
Okay.
much more avid Sooner football fan than I am, but we used to go to OU Texas games every year for years.
Okay. So you got your law degree, you came back to Bartlesville.
No, I did, but I was getting ready to be drafted.
Oh, okay.
So that's when I applied for and was accepted to Naval Officer Candidate School.
Okay. Why'd you choose the Navy over the Army, Marines, or Air Force?
Well, I had consultation. I talked to Dad, who was the Army, and he said, Navy, they had it better.
Okay.
You didn't have to sleep in a wet tent. And my cousins, John and Henry Kane, both had been through officer candidate school and done their service in the Navy, and I liked them. I was impressed with them and wanted to follow their lead.
When did you join the Navy?
In '67, after I graduated from law school.
You recall the month and day you joined?
No, but I know I was in the OCS class Lima 6802. So I graduated in February of '68. And that was a 4-month course, so it'd be September, October, November,
Okay.
or something like that.
Okay.
So I had a few months after law school to study for the bar, took the bar exam, and then I went to Newport.
Now, Vietnam was going on at this time.
Yeah.
What do you think about Vietnam?
Oh, I've had a lot of time to think about that, and I bought into the idea that we could defeat communism, give the people of Southeast Asia a chance at freedom. We didn't get it done.
Yeah. Where'd you go to OCS?
Newport.
Newport. Tell me about OCS.
OCS was a rude awakening for a guy like me. It was very structured, very disciplined.
And that's Newport, Rhode Island?
Yes.
Okay.
And we learned to obey orders, and we learned to that if the way they wanted it done, that's the way you did it. Enjoyed the academic part of it. I didn't enjoy the little nitty-gritty things you have to do. Get your bed made just right and keep your shoes polished just right. And some of those things were sort of a challenge for me.
What type of training did you have in OCS?
It was academic. We learned mainly naval protocol. Who you salute, how you wear your uniform. But we did have courses in navigation, and we had boat or ships, seamanship. We had courses like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we had physical training. We had a group, Lima, and we ran everywhere together.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd singing, shouting, cadence, and any place we had to go, we all went together, running.
Now, was anything in OCS geared toward Vietnam?
Not specifically.
Okay,
Not specifically.
okay.
I went more schools after
Okay.
that. I first went to Amphibious Command School.
Well, what's your most vivid memory of OCS?
Oh, I think I made good friends there.
Okay.
There's smart kids like I was. They were
Yes.
Stanford and Purdue and University of Nebraska and all college graduates, good young guys with great futures in front of them, mostly all single.
Okay.
And that was the reason I had all these deferments,
Mhm.
but I was not yet married, so it made me susceptible to the draft.
So from OCS, where'd you go? Oh, well, when were you commissioned?
You get commissioned after you complete OCS.
And when were
That'd
you
be
commissioned?
February of '68.
Okay. And after OCS, where did you go?
Went to Little Creek, Virginia,
Little Creek, Virginia.
amphibious school.
Okay.
And there you learned, I was assigned to an amphibious command ship,
Okay.
so I knew that's where I was going. And you got your assignment at the same time you graduate from OCS. And that determines what your next schools are.
Okay. What is an amphibious command ship?
Amphibious command ship was the ship that carried the admiral,
Okay.
and he had 2 amphibious aircraft carriers under his command, 2 amphibious ready groups.
Okay.
And so we had the admiral and his staff
Okay.
on board.
And what
Colorado.
type of training did you have in amphibious?
Amphibious was the familiarization with what's the idea here. We're going to bring troops to a place where we want to concentrate them. We're going to get them on the beach. And we learned the jargon for and the planning for the boats and getting the boats in the water and getting the guys in the boats, and then when you take them in and how you get them turned around and get them back out. And the whole, it was only a 2-week course, but it was just long enough to get you a little bit familiar with what the main idea of amphibious warfare was. And then after that, I went to looked like I was going to be in Combat Information Center, so I went to a CIC school down in Brunswick, Georgia. And that was a maybe 5-month course.
Mhm.
We learned how to run a combat information center, the communications, the radars, we actually learned how to do aircraft control. We could watch the blip on the radar and point it to where we wanted to go.
Mhm.
Nowadays, it's all, what we did would have been so slow and so imperfect, but
I've often wondered, when you had these blips on the radar, how could you tell our ships from the enemy ships?
well, there were codes. Well, you've seen, they use it now commercially. It'll be United
Yes.
832, and it'll have 832 on it. Well, we didn't have that, but we'd have a extra blip enhancement
Okay.
or something like that.
Now, did you have an IFF on the ship?
No, not as such. I don't think we did.
A friend or foe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember having to deal with that.
Okay.
So I was there for 4 or 5 months,
Mhm.
and then ready to go to my ship.
Mhm.
And I went home for leave and then went to Travis and flew from Travis to Hawaii and Hawaii to the Philippines. And El Dorado was in Vietnam, so I was sitting around, flew into Clark Field and then went down to Subic Bay and waited for the ship to come. And then they said, nah, we're going to send you on over. So the first time I thought, well, I'm not sure I'm really ready for this, but we got on a COD, they called it, Carrier Onboard Delivery. It's a little small airplane, and it didn't have seats, just had net benches on each side of the airplane. And we flew to Cameron Bay, and big old air base. They were mostly flying off of landing mats, not a concrete runway. Dusty, noisy, hot, and I had my sea chest, and I was wearing khakis, and I had my golf clubs. And there I was. I didn't have any MPC. I just had dollars. But I could read my orders and I knew what to do. So I went from there to Da Nang and waited in Da Nang for 3 or 4 more days before the ship came in, and I joined El Dorado then.
That's the USS El Dorado?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to ask, when you were at Travis getting on the airplane, flying out, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, oh, this may not be a good idea. It was a 707 with 6 seats across, and it was full of young men going to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm. When you landed at Cameron Bay and got off the airplane, what was your first impression?
This looks like war. This is tough. Those guys all were working. They knew what they were doing. They were in proper jungle greens and flying supplies around and moving people around.
Now, how'd you get to Da Nang from Cameron?
They had another small plane.
Okay.
Because it's, I don't know, maybe 100 miles, 200 miles up there.
So the El Dorado is what kind of ship?
It was called, AGC-11.
AGC-11.
And that was an amphibious command ship.
Okay.
And it was an old freighter. It was a C5 hull. The keel was laid by the United Fruit Company. And it was commandeered when the war started. And they modified it. And it ended up being an amphibious command ship in World War II and was MacArthur's command ship at Okinawa. But it was pretty primitive. It only made 15.4 knots. And it was configured with 3 watertight compartments, 4 medium and aft. And I was pretty well convinced that if any one of those was breached, it'd go down. I don't think that 3 compartments made any difference. But it was not a warship. It had a 5-inch gun on the prow, and or the bow, whatever you call it. And we didn't like to shoot that because it just shook all the electronics loose. So we didn't shoot it.
Now, were you assigned to a division on the ship?
Yes, I was initially assigned to Combat Information Center, or CIC.
Now, what do you do in the CIC?
Well, we do the same things they do on the bridge, except we didn't have visual. We were right below the bridge, and we had radars. Okay. And we kept track of where we are, and we kept track of all the traffic around us on a big radar display, and we used grease pencils. And you can see here's El Dorado in the center, and there's one over here, and there's one over here. And you'd plot the contacts and you could figure out if they were getting closer to you or were going to get close. And so we'd say, and we'd name them. That's contact A1 or Alpha 1 or, you know, Bravo 2. We had various nomenclatures. But that was the main thing. And then we would also be monitoring any frequencies that would have to do with navigation. We had a communications department on board that would actually be talking about our military plans and talking to other ships that were in our group. But we would just be watching the traffic.
Now, when did you go aboard the El Dorado?
Well, that was probably June or July, maybe probably summer of '68.
68, okay.
Yeah.
Where were your quarters on the El Dorado?
Elegant. El Dorado had 450 crew and 30 officers. And it was a 450-foot long ship. And I shared a little stateroom with another young junior officer. Good guys. Remember them, know them well.
Now, were you an ensign this time?
I was an ensign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what were your duties on the ship?
Well, I started out standing watches in the Combat Information Center. And as the junior officer of that division, whatever you call it, I was the one who would go to officer's call first thing in the morning, get the orders from the captain or his XO, and then take them to my division. And they'd stand at attention while we reported to them what the orders for the day were. And then tell them to go to work. And the ones who were on duty would go into CIC, and the rest would go back to quarters, wait to turn for their next.
What was your average day on the ship?
We had usually we had 4 or 5 watch stands. So you'd have a 4-hour watch, then 12 hours in between, then another 4. And
What
then
watches were you standing?
Well, I was starting out in Combat Information Center.
Okay.
And then as you get a little more seniority, then they work you into officer of the deck. And from the first time you get there, you're officer of the deck in port. You stand your watch on the quarterdeck and you make sure everybody salutes you and all that. So if you're not at sea, you don't need to be standing watch in Combat Information Center. And you're doing your divisional stuff and you're making sure paperwork is right and whatever. Then after I got maybe a year, I got moved up to standing deck watches, underway, officer of the deck, underway. And then you'd have the responsibility for manning the bridge and making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. You don't run into somebody.
Now you're officer of the deck. You're on the bridge.
Yes.
Okay. Now you're not the helmsman, are you?
No.
The quartermaster.
No.
Okay.
You've got seamen on each side of the bridge.
Okay.
Doing a visual watch.
Okay.
They've got big binoculars. You've got the helmsman,
Okay.
and you have the guy from the engineering department. There'd be 4 troops, 4 soldiers, and the officer on the bridge at all times. And sometimes you would let the watch guys rotate, and one of them get to drive the steering wheel, man the helm, and then he'd go out and watch, and he'd rotate them around.
Did you have a general quarters?
Yeah, we had general quarters drill a lot.
Where was your general quarters?
My general quarters was in the Combat Information Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you have a place to abandon ship?
We did, but that would have been rough. But we did have boats, and we did have rafts.
Okay. And the admiral was on board the El Dorado?
Yes.
Okay.
The admiral had a staff of maybe 60, and there'd be 35 or 40 officers, and the rest were senior enlisted guys,
Okay.
or specialists in communications or things like that.
Now, how many ships under the command of the admiral?
Well, he'd have the two ready groups, and that would be two amphibious carriers,
Okay.
which were old World War II carriers. And then they'd have maybe one or two new APHs, the big ships that carried smaller boats inside of them, and they came out of the, when they put their boats in the water, they came out of the back,
Okay.
out of the stern. And then we had a few, but they didn't travel very well, the old landing ships with the front door.
Oh, the Higgins boats?
Yeah.
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 Now, when you're in the CIC, you had to keep track of all these ships?
You would, yeah, you're supposed to know where they are, and
Okay.
but we would not be as redundant. The admiral would, his people would be doing the same
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Ever have any problems or contact with any Soviet ships coming down in the area?
No, we had some exercises with the South Korean Army,
Okay.
South Korean Navy. Went up to Korea, and we were afraid to death. We got into a steaming convoy formation, and these Korean ships were we weren't sure they knew where they were going, but we did that. But we didn't run into any enemy vessels at all.
Okay. Now, were you there when the Pueblo was captured by North Korea?
No, that was after. That was
Okay.
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had one fun experience not everybody will see. We got to see the New Jersey firing its big guns. They decided to turn it into a battleship again, and set up a exercise, or it wasn't exactly an operation, to try to capture Viet Cong on the peninsula, and then blast them with the 16-inch guns. And we were there, we saw them shoot that. I don't know whether they had any luck catching anybody and where they could hit them with those, but they did use them.
How was the food on the El Dorado?
Excellent, excellent. It was. The captain ate with us. He had his own dining room
Okay.
up behind the bridge, but he ate with the officers. And back then, the officer mess was good food. We paid for our own food. But it was very good. We had Filipino stewards. They made our beds for us, cooked our food, weighed on white tablecloths. It was very congenial and first class.
Okay. How did you celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving on the ship?
Well, I don't remember anything really special about Christmas or Thanksgiving. I'm sure we had a fancy dinner, but I don't remember anything beyond that.
Now, did you dock and go ashore on Vietnam?
Yeah.
On the El Dorado?
Well, no, we did not dock in Vietnam.
You didn't?
We spent most of our time near Da Nang.
Okay.
And the ship would come in and anchor in Da Nang. We'd put out picket boats to try to watch for sappers or swimmers.
Yeah.
And then after the captain and admiral who'd been on the beach came back on board, we would go out and steam a pattern off the coast. So we did not anchor in Vietnam.
Okay. Did you go ashore in Vietnam?
Yeah, occasionally. Most of the time it was on a courier trip.
Okay.
You'd take a couple of sailors, and you'd all have sidearms, and you'd go to the office in Cam Ranh, I mean in Da Nang, deliver what it was you had to deliver, and then
Now,
pick it
what
up,
office
come
were you
back.
going to?
It was just the whatever the Navy office was for
Okay.
that part of the.
Have any contact with the local people in Da Nang?
Not really.
Okay.
I did have, when I first got there, I got there before the ship arrived, so I had 3 or 4 days in the transient officer quarters in Da Nang. And then I was carefree, and I walked around Da Nang just looking things around. I didn't even have, like I said, I didn't have greens, I didn't have MPCs, but I had plenty of dollars, and I'd take those, and probably shouldn't have done that.
Now, do you have the monsoons when you're out on the ship? Monsoon
Not
season?
bad, not bad. I don't remember
Oh, you missed all the fun.
fighting all that. I do remember we would pay attention to the typhoons, and we would run. If we heard there was a typhoon coming, we'd get the heck out of there. We had to be in the zone for 6 days in a month to get combat pay.
Now, what is the zone?
The Vietnamese waters.
Okay. Okay.
And we would stay in Vietnam, Da Nang, for at least 6 days, but not necessarily much more than that. And then we would take off. We went to Bangkok, we went to Kaohsiung, we went to Subic, we went to, I can't even say the name of the port in Japan, Singapore, Bangkok, and we would go down there and have a little shore leave for a day or two. And so we made 10-month deployments, but we would go to a different country for a different port.
What was your
Nearly
favorite
every month.
port?
I think I liked Hong Kong best.
Why?
Oh, it was exciting. Gail came to see me one time in Hong Kong. That was sort of a treat. She came around the world the wrong way through India to get to Hong Kong, to Bangkok and then to Hong Kong. So we had two. And while I was there, I took leave and went to Australia. So I had good duty. It was not anything like the people who were on the beach.
How long were you on the El Dorado?
Till I was in for 3 years, 4 months, and 10 days. So 71 was when I got out and came back to Bartlesville.
Now, what is the object of the El Dorado and the ships? What is this?
It was a part of the Navy ladder. Commanders need at sea float commands to get promoted to the next rank. And I really think that these guys could have done what they were doing, the Admiral and his staff, from one of the carriers. But they needed the that ship for stepping up the
Okay.
line.
Now, did they fly sorties off the carriers to Vietnam?
Yeah.
These were what, fighters or what?
Well, these were, they really didn't, they were helicopter carriers.
Okay, oh, helicopters,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay,
And so they could take the troops into,
okay. Now, you had to
Action when
keep
they
track
needed
of the
to.
helicopters when they went off?
I didn't,
Okay.
because we had one helicopter on board,
Okay,
but it was just for carrying the admiral
Okay.
around.
what helicopter did you have?
I don't know.
Okay,
It was, I don't think it was a Cobra. It wasn't a Huey. I'm not sure what kind it
Okay.
was. It was pretty much a civilian.
what's your
passenger.
best memory of the El Dorado?
I think it's the wardroom, the guys I knew. And I had great enlisted help. The one fellow, Frank Stutler, he was a Sioux Indian from South Dakota, was a chief warrant officer. And he knew how to build a radar set from scratch. And he could fix it all. And he had great sense of responsibility, and he made sure those younger whippersnappers just paid attention. And he ended up becoming a Mustang, and he ended up a commander, which was fantastic. A few years later, 25 years later, I went out there, and he was had retired as a commander, starting out as an enlisted guy. Several of those people, I remember Freddie Nowak, and he's chief from Baltimore, and he talked like he was still from Baltimore, and good guys.
What's your worst memory of the El Dorado?
Oh, we had a Captain Queeg for an executive officer, and he would get really bent out of shape for the worst things, and he would, the way he would control it, or what he would punish, is to deny leave. You know, you'd be at sea for a while, and then they're going to the beach, and he'd say, "Oh, you can't go. You've got work to do." And that was the other thing I did. I ended up becoming his gopher, ex-officer, XO. He had me do captain's masts, disciplinary procedures. He had me searching the ship for marijuana. He had me being sort of his gopher. And he was an Annapolis graduate, but he didn't have temperament. He was never going to get to be an admiral. He was a commander, and that was as far as he was going to go.
So when did you leave the El Dorado?
Well, I was on 3 deployments. I never did leave the El Dorado.
Okay.
I stayed on El Dorado the full time I was in the Navy.
Now, you had 3 deployments.
Yeah. On 8 or 9 months at sea, and then back to San Diego.
Okay. How long were you being in San Diego?
Oh, 5 or 6 months at a time.
Okay. Now, when you were in San Diego, were you still assigned to the El Dorado?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what did you do in San Diego?
Well, once El Dorado went to Long Beach to the yards, and they put me temporary duty on shore patrol
Okay.
in Long Beach. And that took some doing, and I enjoyed that. I had to stand 8-hour watches at the shore patrol headquarters. Otherwise, when we're at in San Diego, we take care of the ship and train, and it was just sort of routine.
When you were on shore patrol, have any incidents of...
Well, I remember one kid who was found floating in the harbor, and we had a whole lot of trouble trying to figure out what happened to him. He was drowned. But the Shore Patrol had senior enlisted guys who had a paddy wagon. They'd pick up the guys who were too drunk and bring them in and let them, wear it off, and then they'd go back to their ship.
Yeah, okay. And where did you leave the El Dorado?
El Dorado was back in San Diego when
Okay.
I was separated,
Okay.
came home.
Now, when you left the service, when you left the El Dorado?
Yes.
Okay. And you came back to Bartlesville?
Yes.
Okay. Now, being an officer, are you discharged as an officer or just?
Yeah, you're discharged.
Okay.
They urge you to stay in. I was made Lieutenant JG after the first year, so I was Lieutenant JG. I was scheduled for promotion to lieutenant if I had re-upped. But I had things I wanted to do. I was married by then, and so I enjoyed mine.
Now, would you have to join the inactive reserves?
No.
Okay.
You could have, but I didn't.
Okay.
Did not.
And you came back to Bartlesville and
Yeah.
came back to the law office?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And one of the stories, it was so interesting the way the ship responded to its captain. We had, the first captain was named Clyde, and we call him Cautious Clyde, because he was come up through the submarine fleet. And when we drove the ship up the Chapaya River into Bangkok, he was at dead crawl the entire distance. I mean, the ship was just barely moving. He was being careful. And then our next captain was Elmer. Elmer was an aviator, and he'd been an ace during Korea. He got the Sidewinder missiles before the Koreans had any idea what those were. And he killed 10 or 12 MiGs. And when we drove the ship up to Chapaya with Elmer as captain, we were about full speed ahead. But it was entirely different.
Guess every captain is different.
That was exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Would you join the Navy again?
Oh, yes, but hesitantly. I'm worried that we have all this power but no will to use it. We decide, okay, we'll go stir things up, then we come home after it's a mess rather than finishing the job.
Why were we in Vietnam?
Well, good question. The idea was, let's give those people a chance to select their own government, and that was just a good, feel-good, idealized, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. I'd like to do a word association to give you some words and you give me your reaction.
Okay.
The first one is OCS.
Discipline.
Combat Information School.
Academic.
The name.
Experience.
USS El Dorado.
Good shipmates.
Vietnam.
Bad idea, ultimately.
Hong Kong.
Fabulous city.
Lyndon Johnson.
President,
Richard Nixon.
President.
How do you want to be remembered?
Dutiful. I'm the oldest son.
Mhm.
Try to take care of my siblings and my family.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, this has been a pleasure.
Well, sir, I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
And again, this is December 2nd, 2019. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Bob Kane in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Thank you.
Yes, sir.